way, the thought of it, how we did it, what we have accrued in our downline and profit share. This is not a profit share class where it breaks out all the different levels of the percentages. Right. It is, if you've heard about it, it's a 7-level process. So if you recruit someone, and I don't even like to use the word recruit. If someone, because of you, has joined a Keller Williams office anywhere in North America, it is figured out differently outside of North America. So we're talking about, I believe Mexico as well, US and Canada is set up this way. Because of different ways commissions and market centers must be structured outside that North America, it is paid differently. However, there still is that.
Right.
So we have a 7th level, so that means if I talk with Leslie and we're in a yoga class together, and I go, oh my gosh, you're getting into real estate, or oh my gosh, you're frustrated with the office that you're in, you should try coming and talking to a Keller Williams office. One of the things I love about it is this and this and this. And it's really about, we'll get into those details, it's really about what you love about it and sharing that information. It's not for you to tell and sell. It's not for you to go, okay, I need you to sign up and I need to be in your profit share person. It's just sharing about what are the benefits that you've enjoyed, what you like about it. And I'm going to share a little bit more. I was in the first recruiting class that was created by Keller Williams. It was in Cobb County, Georgia. And I was with Sean Rawls and Steve Schluter, some really amazing market center owners and now trainers and beyond, regional owners. And we were trying to figure out how we all conveyed the information of what was important or great about it. And I'll share Sean's story in a little bit because I got to role play with Sean, and my late husband Dick got to role play with Steve Schluter. So who better can we kind of talk to? And there's no right or wrong about it.
I know.
Was he a
Steve teaches the
never-ending
referrals, which Ginny has pretty much adopted, and she's been doing it in office.
Oh, he's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big
he's
guy.
a big guy.
He's a very big guy.
So we're sharing a little bit, let me share my story about it, is that obviously I was excited about Keller Williams and I wanted to work in that environment. So myself and my late husband Dick opened an office because I wanted to be in the environment of Keller Williams for the rest of my career. It was really important to me. So Leslie, what was it for you?
You know, for me it was the training. I was a brand new agent. I didn't know anything, and I did interview at different offices in town. And
which is a good thing to do.
Yeah. So I went to my first interview was with Dick. Dick was acting as the team leader at that time, and he gave me a list of questions to ask other offices, which was really smart on his part.
He was a smart cookie.
But the biggest thing that he told me was about the training, and so that was one of my biggest questions when I went to the other offices. So one of the other offices was is no longer open. It's closed. The Caldwell banker that was up there. Hey Tammy.
Hey Leslie.
Hey, come on in. I hope you got my text. I had the time wrong.
Yeah, 1:10. I think I got your text.
Yes.
Is that yours? Yeah.
Come and join us. We're just talking about, Leslie's just sharing about what made her choose Keller Williams.
Oh, and the other thing was that
you can stand, but you then stand here because we're on a video.
Great. Here, I'll move over and you can stand inside. How about that? Okay. So, my neighbor's mother worked for Keller Williams too, and when I told her that I was interested in real estate, she gave me the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and she wrote inside of it, "I'd love to be your sponsor should you decide to join Keller Williams." And I always remembered that, and there was no question if I joined Keller Williams, she was going to be my sponsor. Obviously, I didn't know what that meant at the time. I was like, okay, she's my sponsor. She's going to help me along, which that does go with it, you know. You
it does go with it
to help you a little bit. So So I interviewed with Dick first, and then I interviewed with this Coldwell Banker office, and I said, well, what do you have for training in here? And the lady says, here's your training, like Vanna White, and it was a wall full of videos, VHS videos at the time, just to date
Oh,
myself.
listen, and that was actually really good.
Yeah, so, and then my other interview was actually with Remax, and the broker stood me up. So her assistant talked with me and basically said, we don't really take new people. So, that was I mean, by that time, I was like, I was so blown away with Dick Whitaker and his integrity and his personable attitude. I mean, he was just so friendly and kind and authentic that there was no other option for me. I already knew. And I knew Mary too, so and she had been doing really well in real estate. I'd known her a long time,
So tell me about, you knew Mary. Share about that.
Well, like I said, she was my neighbor's mother, and I knew she'd been in other offices. And you know what, there's another person who influenced me to go into real estate, and that is Laura Kildall. I don't know if any of you know Laura Kildall. She works for, the one out by Home Depot. The little office, the orange building.
Floridian?
Yes, that's where she works now. But she started working at Century 21, and I was still a dental hygienist when she got her license, and she came to my office to get her teeth cleaned one day, and she was wearing the gold jacket. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool, I wanna be a realtor so bad.
Gold jacket.
That's so weird. Anyway, but friends with Mary, and like I said, she gave me that book early on before I even thought about I was just thinking about getting my license. And that pretty much sealed the deal. I already knew where I was going.
Well, Tami, we're just talking a little bit about, why we chose Keller Williams. What drew you to it? What was your story about the process? Can you share yours?
Sure. So this is my sponsor, Leslie. And I had come to Florida in 93, actually. No, it's 94. Anyway, I was kind of floundering around out there, not knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Know that feeling.
And I joined a small company because I thought, I had gone to see some larger companies at the time, way back when. And I knew that they, were talking about 50% and for so long, it just seemed like a lot of math to me. And that you had to start over at the beginning of the year and again, start at, 40, 50%. So I joined a small company thinking, well, my luck, I'm gonna, have a great big sale my first year. And so I wanted a split that would be very beneficial to myself, and really didn't care anything about education. Actually didn't know about Keller Williams at the time. But I was with this small company for 2 or 3 years, about 2 years. And didn't know, as you all probably know, you really come into real estate knowing nothing about real estate. You go through school and got my license, and I didn't know a thing.
It's always a big aha, isn't it? You get your license, you go, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, no idea. And this small company had one person in it who I'm still friends with, Gary Garner, I just love him, who helped me along and would answer questions, but these other people would, I was a bother to them, to ask them questions or anything. They were like, they didn't want anything, they were all busy. It was the height of the boom, just coming up to the height of the boom, and so they closed. So what happened, they ended up shutting down the office as business got slower. And I owned a cleaning service in Connecticut, so I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll try that again. I had sold it to finally come down, and I floundered around a little trying to get business, and just really didn't know what I was going to be doing. And then I got an email, I guess a mass email from Leslie, and I'm guessing it was a kind of a career night.
It was a training, and I remember exactly what training it was.
Really?
Yes.
What was that?
It was a training about using your IRA to purchase property.
Okay.
Yes.
remember that, I just knew that it was going to allow me to kind of look into real estate. For some reason, it said, come join us, and for me, it said, maybe we'll help you figure out what you wanna be when you grow up.
And that's what you saw.
That's what I
Because
saw.
we're all at different points, what are we seeing, and so
Right.
everyone has a different, where are they going to go?
Right, and I came in and it was the old office, and the training was in another room, like another suite. You walked into, you know, several suites from the outside, you know, like different storefronts, and they had a little storefront next door, and, you know, I walked in there, and, I think they were talking about short sales too, for some reason I remember
We're probably getting started.
a
with
short
sales,
sale
yeah.
person talking, and there was so much energy in the room, and so much love, and everyone was friendly and smiling and happy, and, you know, I just said, sign me up. I said, where do I sign up? And I was, Brandon said, well, don't you wanna know like what the splits are or anything, and I said, no, I'm working for this company. And I did, I signed up like that night or the next day, whatever it was, whenever I could get to him, but I didn't care to know anything about the company, I just knew that I was home when I
How
was in
long
that
ago,
room.
Tammy, was this?
12 years?
Does it say on here?
You know, I was looking at it to see,
No, it doesn't say.
but I think it's been about 12 years.
It's been about 12 years, so we're just kind of looking at, hey here, glad
Hi,
you're here. We're talking about what drew us to Keller Williams, so for Leslie, you were kind of talking about the training. So that was her focus, where can I get this training? And for Tami, you just, it was the environment, right? It was
Yes.
this energy, the support of the environment. So let me tell you quickly my story. So, I had been working when I had moved down to Florida, I got my real estate license, and so I interviewed 7 brokers to try to find the most ethical broker. It was pretty challenging back then, this was quite a few years ago. And so I interviewed 7 brokers, and I went with an independent office that no longer is because it was the most ethical broker. And so I got in there, and I had moved here, I just got my real estate license, I would get lost in Rotunda every time I went in there. I didn't even know the streets, I didn't know real estate, and I remember there were, obviously there were a couple of top producers in the office. I remember asking one, could you show me how to use the copier? And she said, no, and walked away. I went, wow. And what I realized was, I was competition for them, and that's how they saw it. In a true old style office, that's what it was. It was very cutthroat, and there were no friends in there, let me make that really clear. So I was like, oh my gosh, so I had to like self-learn, and I had traveled all over to CRS classes and different classes. So my first 2 years was really a huge learning experience, because I didn't have any training, there wasn't any. And then I started growing the business, and brought on a part-time assistant, and then brought on Dick, my late husband, to be partners, and so he was the buyer specialist, because he was much more calm and relaxed with the buyers. They could go out and look, and I was like, let's get it done. And so as we were growing the business, I wanted to have my own personalized signs, and I could not. And I wanted to have my picture on my card, and I could not. And I wanted to talk to someone else that had done a higher volume and maybe grew a team, and they would not let me. And I remember that last year, I paid them in co-broke $60,000. And I had to use their cards, their signs, I had to use their title company, which would screw up things. And I said, I do not like someone else controlling my business, and I do my business to a higher level. And I have a good friend that was an owner in the RE/MAX that will come partner. I really didn't want that. That was very kind of isolating to me. Everybody was on their own thing. I really wanted an environment where it was a great environment. I could go back to corporate life and have it very cutthroat, go back to Connecticut and do that. I wanted to be in an environment where it was fun to go in, and I could help other people go through what I went through in a much faster pace. And we learned about Keller Williams. There was not a Keller Williams here at that time. There was one just opening in Sarasota. So we went to the convention in Las Vegas. We were invited there and got to meet Gary Keller and met a lot of things. And we looked at each other, and I wanted to work in this environment so much. What I saw was, hey, I could talk to people that have done a higher volume, and they would share their tricks of the trade with me. I would not have to try to find it out, figure it out for myself. I would have that environment that I want. I would have that training that I want. Now, what Dick looked at, he was the analytical. He look at the higher split, look at that you cap, look at that you profit share. So we looked at it from two sides of it, and we said, we're opening an office. My goal was never to open a real estate office, it was to work in this environment, and we wanted it so much that we opened the office. And for us, it's the ability to help other people grow and have them help other people to grow. It was just that environment, so it's different for every person. When I was in that first recruiting class, Sean Rawls, who was a team leader back then up in Georgia, near Atlanta, has multiple offices, and I think he's a regional now, and he's a Keller Williams master trainer. Is what he shared with it, and this is a great way to explain it. It's like, listen, every real estate office does the same thing. If you're selling ice cream, so this real estate office sells vanilla, and this has butter crunch, and this has chocolate chip, and this has pistachio, and this one's strawberry, right? We all sell real estate. What Keller Williams has is it has, do you want chocolate sauce, caramel? Do you want whipped cream? Do you want nuts? Do you want a banana with it? Do you want chocolate sprinkles? Do you want multicolor sprinkles? Do you want a cherry on top? We sell real estate and you have a higher split. We sell real estate and you can get to 100%. We sell real estate and you can have training locally and regionally and nationally. We sell real estate and you can have profit share. We sell real estate and they can help you grow your best life personally and professionally. We just have all the toppings for the ice cream sundae. So it depends on, Blake might want certain toppings, Harry, you want certain ones, Barbara, you want other ones. It's just, we all came for different reasons. What was missing or was important to us in our life. So never assume when you're talking to someone that what's important to you is important to them. Just ask for the opportunity for them to come in and speak with the team leader so that they can make a decision what's the best choice for them in their life.
When did you open your office, Chief?
It's now 18 years ago, in 2001. A long time ago. Yeah.
Yesterday. Just like yesterday.
Yes. So we brought our downline sheets to sort of talk about it and talk about how profit share works. The first thing is, if you don't have one of these forms, please keep one around. This is the form that you can fill out and forward to Chris, our team leader. Sorry he couldn't be here today, had to be elsewhere. And what we do is we have a conversation with someone. If you have a closing with another agent, even if you have a showing with another agent, if your neighbor's about to become maybe your realtor, someone moving and not satisfied with their current office, is just share. Would it be okay if my team leader Chris gave you a call? You could just meet with him and see what it offers, see if you have interest in it. Would that be okay, Barbara?
Yes.
Great, all right, Chris will be giving you a call. Will you promise to accept that call?
Yes.
Great, thanks so much. I would love to be in business with you. That's it. Just say it yourself so it's comfortable saying it out loud, and then forward that to the team leader and follow up. Because I don't look at it as recruiting. I look at it, if someone's going to be a realtor, why wouldn't you want them to share with them the best office for them to be in? Whether it's about the best environment, whether it's training, whether it's a higher profit split, whether it's profit share, wherever you cap. Why wouldn't you want someone that you like to be in this environment. Whether it's this office, or it's in Canada, or it's in Virginia, or Punta Gorda. It doesn't matter which market center they go into. Anybody have any questions at this time? This is for you guys. Okay. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about our downlines. And that is when you ask someone to join Keller Williams and they name you as their sponsor. That's called the first level. So Keller Williams talks about getting 15 into your first level. Because it says with that, then your profit share tree will grow. So I've been in it kind of the longest. So I'm the oldest of the group. So I have on my first level, that's directly named me as a sponsor, 14. In my whole profit share tree, it has grown to 149 people. If you grow it wide on that first level, time will grow it deep. I didn't have 149 people join the market center. I had 14 join the market center. And then they were informed on how they could profit share. And again, why wouldn't you want to have somebody you like come to an office that's going to support them? So Leslie, would you share yours?
I have 13 in my first line, and I've been with Jean for 15 years. 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Going on 16 in October.
Mm-hmm.
So my total profit share tree is 40.
That's great.
And I was looking at these to see where did they come from, and 6 of these are people that I knew before they got their real estate license.
How many do you have in total?
40 total.
40 total.
Mm-hmm. So how did you talk to those people of those first 13? You said that some of them came that did not have a real estate license.
3 of them I hired as assistants.
Mm-hmm.
Luz is in my profit share tree, and I met her because her fiance was buying a house from us,
Mm-hmm.
and she came into the office with her little girl, and she knew exactly what she wanted. Boom, 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 boom. This is what we want. Nope, we don't want that one, don't want that one, don't want that one. And I was so impressed with how organized she was and how she knew exactly what she wanted, and I knew she was in the auto sales business.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her at our first sitting down at a table, I said, if you ever decide to get into real estate, you need to talk to me. And pretty much, I think my enthusiasm and my love of the company
Mm-hmm.
is why everybody that I know that got their real estate license pretty much came here. And there's a lot of people who I've sponsored who ended up going somewhere else just because they found something, you know, we didn't have the right toppings for them, or they wanted non-dairy ice cream. I don't know. But it's not a fit for absolutely everybody, but for just about everybody it is. And who doesn't want to live where everybody loves you and everybody knows your name?
Well, and supports you, as opposed to saying, do you know how to use the copier? Nope.
Right?
Can't
Blew
even
me away.
imagine.
Oh, it blew me away. I could feel the
Wow.
daggers in my back. I was competition. Listen, those old school real estate offices were like that. I almost prefer that an agent, if they're starting out, start at a different office and come with us 6 months later because they experience other offices. And I'm not putting down other offices. I'm just saying I really want them to. And you know, I've had an instance where an agent started here and left because what do we all think? The grass is greener on the other side. And I ran into him and I said, we would love to have you back. He said, do you mind? I made a mistake. I didn't know what I didn't know. Unconscious incompetence. We don't know what we're getting until we go outside and go, oh, that was so much better. It was so much better. Because you know it's hard starting up as a realtor. You have this awareness suddenly, oh, if it's to be, it's up to me. I've got to do it. And it's like this awakening and the things that we have to learn. So Tami, would you share with us on your first line and then your total?
Yes, I have 7 in my first level, and 18, I guess that's total, including the 7.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So it's just about helping people find their real estate home. Secondarily, if you're named as their sponsor, they you can profit share. Do you know where profit share comes from? So when a market center profits every month, so every month, every market center has to actually close out their books. So that's why Lisa's hunkered away, and the first 2 days, if it's not in after 2 days, we're fined, a very large fine if it's not processed or updated, because Keller Williams International profit shares from this. And so that's why it's important to get your deals in before the end of the month and get everything to her, because she needs to process that. And what that does is about 50% of owner's profit doesn't come out of any agent. So 50% of what the owners make goes toward profit share. And it's broken out among this. So why is the ALC, I have an ACL surgery, ALC so important? Why compared to profit share is that so important?
Well, they're the keepers of the culture and the keepers of profit share. Profit share is what they're tasked with, keeping it, well, watching what's going on and helping to make actual financial decisions in the markets.
They're keeping the market center lean and mean, cutting out any of those extra expenses, because what does 50% of that come from? From your profit share. So the ALC is tasked, the financial department, with, let's look at that. Do we need that extra $10 a month? Gary Keller taught me very clearly, you look at every $10 a month, do we need that? Because 50% is the profit share. The other part is the culture, that we're doing the right thing, we're thinking the right thing, we're supporting the people. If you're having a bad day mentally, go to the beach. Don't come in the office, go to the beach, go do something and chill out. So it is about that support, it is about the profit share. So as each market center profit shares, then they look at who is in that line, and then that amount goes based on a very complex software program that was created by someone for Gary Keller many years ago that has since passed away, but this system has worked.
Who was that?
You know, I forget his name. He had started out with Gary Keller. And he did the system. He actually, I believe, had cancer and worked on it, so it was fine-tuned before he passed away. So this is the system we've been using. And it's phenomenal, because where else can you help support? It benefits the people when you're the sponsor of someone to help that person succeed, to talk to them when things are challenging. And when you're someone's sponsor, you want to look and lift that person up. It's the ability is you go up that ladder, and then to reach down and help the next person come up with you, and that person then reaches down and helps the next person. It's all about that. Are you aware that if something should happen to you, and you have a profit share trade, that you have a beneficiary form? Does everyone have one filled out in your file with Angie, and you have a duplicate copy at home with your legal papers? If you don't, please make sure in the next week that you do. I'll share with you that my late husband, Dick, I was his beneficiary. So I not only receive my profit share, I receive his profit share. And that's a gift he could give me. It's a big deal. So make sure, if you do not have this, that you have it signed and filled out, and it's in your file. Your responsibility to have it in that file, and your responsibility to keep it with your important documents. That I have, fortunately I'm very skilled at this, I have a little red folder, in case I die, open this up. So that form is in there, so that my beneficiary can follow up, and they would pay that $25 a year just to continue to be in the program. That's just a software management program to help with it. It's really something so that you can pass on to someone. My grandson will be getting my profit share, and I know he'll help raise his kids with it. So that's an amazing gift that you can give.
It's a free life insurance policy.
It is. It is. And it's really about, so people that I have sponsored to come in, some are more prolific and have sponsored other people to come in, and some are less. And, it's fun to see them and look through the names and know when we're helping them do their transactions, that we're helping everybody in their profit share tree. You wanna share anything else about profit share?
Well, there were a couple of, things I thought about. One was, how does that, it's like the first level, you get 50% of the profit they bring into the office.
Yeah, it's a percentage, we're not teaching the full profit share class.
Okay.
There is a profit share class, and typically the broker teaches it every third month. So go to that class, because it's a different percentage level of how it's broken
To
out.
really see how it works.
And based on the productivity of the agent that you, are in your downline. So if those agents come in and they have not contributed, they haven't had any sales, well, you're not going to share any profit from them, because they haven't contributed any to the market center. So it's how prolific they are in their business, and then once they cap for the year, from the flow, the profit share from that person holds off until they, come uncapped again and, pay in their 18,000. So it's from that 18,000 cap, the separate 3,000 is the KW royalty that goes to Keller Williams International to kind of run things. Yeah, so it's a breakout, so I actually do now go down 7 levels.
We have all the way.
Yes, so you get old enough.
Wait, I have a
Year
4.
don't die.
I have a 4.
Mhm.
I have 4 levels.
Mhm.
One person in my 4th level.
Well, they say if you build it wide, meaning what?
Your first level.
Your first level, people that have named you as a sponsor, if you build it wide, time will build it deep. It's like an upside down tree. Time will build it deep. Yeah.
So basically, you build the first level,
Yeah.
and then the rest of them kind of
Yes.
contribute to the
Mhm.
to it. So you just have to worry about that first level.
That first level. And what you want to do is sometimes ask that person in your first level, what can I do to help you be a sponsor, for you to talk about, so they can grow their profit share tree? Because you want to help and empower those people to grow it, so they can gain the benefit of profit share. And then they share it with the people that they, bring on board. And again, it can be any office. I just ran into someone, that's in my first level, and, at a Realtor event. And she's the District 13 Vice President for the state of Florida now. And we were chatting, and she remembers the time we had breakfast, and I had talked to her 5 years before about Keller Williams. And I would send her a little note once in a while, and one day I just got a call and she said, could we have breakfast? And I met her over in Port Charlotte for breakfast, and the next day she joined the Punta Gorda office. She lives in Punta Gorda, and she's now the District 13 Vice President for Florida Association of Realtors.
Cool.
Yeah, and I was a past, Women's Council President, she was one for that area too. So I talked to her 5 years before, but I just, every once a year, maybe I'd send her a little note card, hope things are going well. Let me know if you ever wanna chat about KW, I love it here. Easy breezy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony.
Mhm.
All right, yes, Helen.
It's really about just having those conversations on a consistent basis. It's about being purposeful, right? Leslie's one of the most purposeful people I've met. She will walk out of a class and I remember her, within 20 minutes she would be on the phone saying what was ever in that class. Tami, who I love, and they say at first avoided training and then embraced it in a big way and committed to it and succeeds at a high level. It's really, we're all different. We all absorb at a different level. The people we talk to all absorb at a different level. It's just having a communication and saying, sometimes if they're with an office, they say, well, we're just fine. Say, well, that's fine, but will you promise me something, Ginny? Will you promise me something?
Sure.
And I always say, you wait for a yes, a nod, or a grunt, or sure, and you say, if for any reason you choose to leave where you are, I know you're very happy, but if you choose, would you promise before you go anywhere, would you call me? Great, thank you. And then what do I always do? I do a full handshake and I look into her eyes. I would love to be in business with you. That's all it is. It's for someone first to hear that someone would like to be in business with them. Listen, this business is a hard business. Do we get beat up? Yeah, we do. Do we get challenged? Sometimes we do all the right things and the deals fall out from us. And we're, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? It's a challenging business. And for someone to say, I would love to be in business with you. I'm in business with these women. I'm so thrilled. I'm honored to be that. I'm in business with all of you. I'm honored to be that. It is, to hear that is so, some days we could really use that, couldn't we? Those days, those uncertainty when you've got the drunk monkey on your shoulder, or to me it's like two little devils, oh, you can do it, gee, you can't do it, forget it. You know, we all hear them. No matter how many houses we're selling a year or not selling a year, we all have them on our shoulders. It's the ability to go, okay, someone would like to be in business with me. Someone would like that phone call. And that's all you wanna ask. You know, Leslie talked to Luz, you know, listen, if you're ever thinking of getting in real estate, please call me. Do you promise to do that? You know, notice how she was very intent on that. And then it works to your benefit just to call every once in a while. I have a realtor right now that I enjoyed working with him, and I know he has challenges, and I would love for him to come over. And so I have a note every once in a while, every few months, just to give him a buzz. You never know when someone has that, okay, that's it, I'm ready to do it.
And people keep that in their head. You know, I know some of the people who have come over here. I was friends with them from the Board of Realtors. We were either on a committee together, or we did an event together, or whatever, we just made friends, and they were unhappy where they were, and they called me. One of them came to visit the office for one reason or another, and she went, I think I might like to work here. May have somebody call you. Actually, we went out in the parking lot. Paul was out there, so I got to introduce them, and then they made an appointment. I think we were in between team leaders at the time.
And that's the nice thing too, is it works even for introverts like myself, that we don't all have to know what to say, how to say it. There's a script for it.
Right.
So it's, you know, what I've said to people is, you know, I really enjoyed working with you, thank you, and you were awesome. Would you take a call from my team leader? I told him about you and would like him to, he'd like to call and thank you for being a good agent. Oh, well, I'm happy where I am. Oh, it's not about that. You know, to learn a little bit maybe about a different system, you know, a different company that we are. Just take his call and maybe have coffee with him. So I don't have to know all the right words.
So you're talking to, when we talk about behaviors, if you haven't done your DISC yet, do your DISC, behavior assessment. And we'll make sure we run another class on it. And it's who we are and how we are. So Tami, what is your high? You're an SC?
I'm an SD.
SD. So very stable, steady, and very direct. Okay, so there's not a lot of what we call I in it. The I love you and I want you to love me too.
I have a 1 in my eye.
Yeah. So here's someone that is not geared on chit-chatting or communication or that interaction. In fact, is uncomfortable with it. And how have you done it? Through scripts and dialogues. Okay.
Everything.
And so Leslie, what are you? You're tough.
When I first started real estate, I was an ID, and now I'm a DI.
Yeah, so that's that driver personality, and the second is the I love you and I want you to love me. And I have been always an off-the-chart D and an I, that's a little lower than your I. However, they say, and it's good, they say all D and no I, all directness and no I love you is an SOB. So it is, we're all evolving and changing on what our behaviors are. What we've just learned is how to have that, and I don't like to say the word script, how to internalize it. Say it a few times so you have the muscle memory, and just be purposeful. After every closing, I call it the Mo script. This is Mo Anderson. And she would do, I don't do her accent, darling, it was so good to have closing with you, you're so professional. And I would love to have the opportunity to work with you again. Would you mind taking a call from my team leader just to say thank you? Would you do that, Harry? And that is the Mo script. And Mo taught us, and that's the script I do without the accent.
I would just say no to Mo.
No, you can say no.
You don't. Whenever we be at these events and
Oh,
Mo
yeah.
loved Dick and Dick loved Mo and he's going, I'm gonna go say hi. I'm like, no, don't do that, don't do that. We go over there and she go, darling, it's so good to see
She
you.
knew everybody too.
And
Crazy.
I would like you to profit share $500,000 this year. Now, darling, will you promise to call me and let me know what your profit share is?
Oh, yes, I will do that. Oh.
So I always go, no, don't go over there. So guys, any questions? What do you feel you could do this?
Yeah.
So what do you think the sources are, the people that you would talk to? Who would they be?
Somebody that shows your property?
Yeah, could be someone, you
Closing,
call
another
them,
agent.
you could be purposefully calling them, thank you so much,
For
Tammy, thank you so
showing
much
it.
for showing my property. I really appreciate that the doors were locked, the lights were off, you left a card, thank you so much. What do your clients think of it? Well, listen, I was just chatting with my team leader and saying how professional you were and how you set up that showing and closed it up. And he just wants to call you and thank you for your professionalism. Sometimes we run into a challenge where we don't have enough professionalism. Tammy, would you take his call just to say thank you? What else? What other things? So, a closing.
Closing.
What else?
Sky's the limit.
Pardon me?
Said sky's the limit.
It is. So what would it be?
You know, John Prescott gave his little speech in our team meeting the other day about bold and how he just introduces himself, gives his card to get business.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think the way that the words he was using to talk to a potential customer are easily words we could transpose and use to talk to other agents. He just said how wonderful they had served him. This would have been a waitress or someone in a store or something like that. But if you had a transaction with someone or a showing or a negotiation that didn't go well,
Mm-hmm.
just say, I just so appreciate your understanding when we had that multiple offer situation and how professionally you handled that. And I would just love the opportunity to be in business with you on a deeper level. So would you take a call from my team leader? And actually, it's not that. It's would you be offended if my team leader
Yes.
called you? And they're not gonna say
Right.
yes to that. They're not gonna say, it's harder for people to say yes than to say no. Is that what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't be offended. Oh, I just invited someone to coffee,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly, just very easy. And here was a customer, Luz was a customer. So I have a customer that's going through training right now that will be joining us as well. And so sometimes chatting with them, chatting with your dental hygienist, with someone at a yoga class.
I just did that yesterday.
There you go.
I got her, she's a buyer, so I got, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was picking my, are you looking for a house?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a title company or a lender also,
Yeah.
a mortgage company. Who do you know that's complaining maybe about their company or you know, is unhappy in their business and maybe would like a call to
Or they already know.
investigate something else?
They already know the business, maybe they're interested in doing sales rather than mortgages, rather than through,
Mm-hmm.
depending on their personality.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't
Or it
depend on
doesn't
their
matter on their
doesn't
personality.
No, it doesn't.
personality.
No, the bottom line, as long as we know, to me, I always say, it's important to know who we are and who we're not. And I understand my challenge is who I'm not. And sometimes my challenge is who I am. I can be so driving that I have to soften that. And I have to go, okay, not everyone's as driven as that, Jean, readjust yourself. And I've gotta do a lot of paperwork, so I've gotta slow down to do the analytical side. You've learned scripts and dialogues to overcome the I part, right?
And I'm not an SOB because of the learning I've done.
The learning curve.
Classes, the pulling back, the knowing to, start at, I
Tammy,
don't want to offend.
Tammy threw
Let's try
herself
this,
into training, and I've gotta say, so committed, because as you started out, then I remember you said, I'm gonna go back to cleaning houses, it's gonna be easier. And I remember Dick going, no. And the committing to the training, to adapt and look at how successful you are. I mean, it just is, Leslie walking out of a class and just engaging right away. I would love to hear her voice 20 minutes later, saying the same thing from the class. It's just engaging these things for you, whether it's training for real estate, how to run your own business, life investments, or profit share. What other way can you help invest in people for them to grow and gain profit share? So whether it's for yourself or the person you want to be your beneficiary, it's a neat thing. Would you be interested if we have Paul do a class on exactly how it's broken out? You can kind of look at it.
I would think.
It gives you the details, it gives you the down and dirty stuff of how it's broken out. This kind of gives you how does it work and what are conversations that you may have to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will share with you that last year I made $19,000 in profit share. So the reason I share that with you is that goes toward my retirement. When I'm gone, it's going toward my grandson and his kids. So, and it depends on the profitability of each office and every ALC to hold those line on those numbers so that that profit share is kept as high and strong as it can be.
I think mine was close to 7.
Yeah.
7,000.
Yeah. And whatever it is, whether it's buying a roll of stamps, or you're going to McDonald's, or you're going on a cruise, or you're putting it directly into retirement. I don't even touch it. It goes directly into that, so it's contributing to that. So then I will be traveling. Long way off. Well, thank you everybody for being here. If you have any other questions, let us know, but otherwise, please be comfortable with it. And then what I do is with that, I fill it out in detail. I say how I met the person, what conversations I had, and then I attach it to an email to Chris Brennan, our team leader, and say, Chris, will you give this person a call? And I like to give him a little bit of a story, so it's a much warmer call. I had a closing that fell apart, or I had a closing that I represented the buyer, he represented the seller. He really handled a lot of details with some special addendums right up to closing. So Chris can then have that conversation. Wow, it looks like you did some extra addendums with Jean. She was so impressed with how you handled it. So it's something that it can go from a cold call to a warm to a very warm call. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
And if you haven't signed in, sign in on the little pad thing.